Well, it's not a fantasy in Edmonton at all as we bring in Eddie Steele, first-year Edmonton Elks analyst on 630 Ched. Been a while since I've seen him. He's looking fresh as always. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing well, Rod. How you doing? It's been a long time.
It's been far too long. What a year you picked to be an analyst for Edmonton Elks football, my friend. You've had a lot to analyze. How's it going for you?
It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying myself. Yeah, lots to analyze, not for the good, though. It's been pretty ugly up here in Edmonton, and I'm sure you're well aware, much like anybody who's been following the CFL. It's been a pretty tumultuous season thus far for the Elks. It's nice being on this side of the fence on the media side because I get to pick apart an organization and not catch any flack for it, so I like it.
Not yet, you haven't apparently, but you're right. Us on the media side can sleep just fine at night. But hey, the Elks have lost 3 in a row. They're 2-5. Clearly, you've heard the stat. Calgary and Edmonton have never ever missed the playoffs in the same year, and it's kind of looking that way. I need your analysis of this Edmonton Elks team. Are they as bad as their record indicates?
You know, on paper, talent-wise, you wouldn't think they're as bad, but it goes deeper than just the guys in the locker room. I think there's a major division amongst the players in the locker room. I think that goes back to the whole COVID outbreak. You got a lot of guys who are on opposite sides, and they're just really not playing together as a team. But it actually goes even higher than that. And I was on a radio show yesterday talking about it, and it starts from the top down. And Brock Sunderland, their GM, I think there's some issues with him and just the way he conducts himself, the way he does business. And it's a trickle-down effect throughout the organization. And ultimately, he's the captain of the ship, and where he steers it, the ship is going to go. And I think he's a major factor why we're seeing the Elks in the situation that they're in right now.
Well, there's a lot of red flags, obviously, and where do you start? I mean, paying Scott Milanovic $500,000 a year, and he doesn't even coach a game, let alone a practice. Their record at 2-5, the way some players have been cut and sent out of town. You're right, Eddie. We are all following it very closely. But I want to ask you this about the coaching staff, though, because I do like Jamie Elizondo a lot. I'm sure you do, too. He's a good guy. And they got quality coaches on the staff at Noel Thorpe. Should they get a pass in a way that it's their first year together, or no, because it's pro football and you never get a pass?
That's a good question. You know, I really do like Jamie. He's a nice guy. I had some good conversations with him, but too bad being a nice guy doesn't win you pro football games. They've had some major issues with their special teams this year. They've gone through 2 special teams coordinators, actually. They had A.J. Gass. He was let go right before the season. They had another guy who I wasn't too familiar with. He got in a fight with Jamie Elizondo on the sidelines early in the season. They let him go. But again, the arrow points directly back to Brock and how he has handled the coaches, because Brock is the one who's in charge. It's not necessarily Jamie who's in charge and calling the shots. I don't think that Jamie Elizondo will be gone next year. I think he'll get another opportunity just because it's challenging, right? It's a COVID season, but everybody's in the same boat. But I don't think this is more of a coaching issue. I think it's more of an organizational issue, in my opinion.
Hey, I get what you're saying. You're saying it's a people issue, is what you're saying. And like I say, with a general manager, which is Brock Sunderland's title, I realized it when I was with a team, and I won't say which one or when, but when we didn't have a general manager for a year, and I realized, wait a minute, now I know what GMs do. They generally manage. They're responsible for everything. So they get all the glory when it goes well, and unfortunately, they got to take the heat when it doesn't go well, and not much has gone well for the Edmonton Elks right now. Now, so let me ask you this. We're halfway through the season, Eddie. Do you see they or Calgary turning it around in time to make the playoffs, or even at least make it a race in the CFL West?
Between the 2 teams, Calgary has a way better opportunity. I mean, the Elks, they're staring down the pipe at a home and home right now with Winnipeg. Winnipeg's the best team in the league. They're not going to win those games. They have Saskatchewan, a couple of tough games against Saskatchewan. And then to finish the year, the Elks have 3 games in 7 days. I think at that point in time, the players are just going to be showing up just to collect the check. I don't think their heart's going to be in it. And let's see how their physical bodies will be in it, because that's unprecedented to play 3 games in 7 days in pro football. So Elks don't have a shot, in my opinion. Calgary, I think, has a much better opportunity to make the playoffs. They got to go on a run, though. Bo Levi hasn't been playing good football this year. I've been pretty vocal on Twitter about how much I really like Jake Maier, the backup. And the reality is he's outplayed Bo Levi this year. Injuries and all that aside, we got to look at the proof and the facts and the numbers. And Jake Maier has given them a better opportunity to win. Not saying you got to bench Bo, but I think Bo's leash is a lot shorter right now, because it's about winning games, and Jake Maier has moved the offense and produced at a much higher rate this season.
Grey Cup champion and 9-year CFL veteran Eddie Steele is with us. And I've always said, Eddie, that you're a must follow on Twitter, but even more so now. Eddie Steele 97 is his Twitter handle. You said something, and you got to refresh my memory here, about Bo a few weeks ago. I think it was after the Hamilton game when Calgary lost in Hamilton. You're like, if you just took the names off these 2 quarterbacks and just looked at them on the field, you would say Maier's better, but Bo's kind of getting a pass because of his resume. Did I have that right? Can you kind of tell our viewers what you meant by that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like what I just said. Maier is producing at a way better clip right now. The numbers aren't even close. Maier's thrown for over 300 yards every start he's had, moved the ball well. He doesn't look like a traditional rookie where he's seeing ghosts. He's able to make his reads and make the throws on time. And the offense just has moved the ball better and scored more points when Maier has been their quarterback this year. Not to take anything away from Bo. Bo is, we all know his legacy and how good he's been for the organization, but he's hurt, I don't know how his shoulder is doing, because he had an injury last time out, shoulder injury last football season. He broke his leg earlier this season. So it's not sitting here saying he's done for, but the reality is Maier has played better, and you can't argue it. And you get the people who would argue back and forth with me on Twitter, but you got to take your sentimental feelings towards Bo Levi out of it, and you look at the numbers, and you can't compare. The numbers don't lie.
Do you enjoy the back and forth with the fans, I guess I would say, or viewers on Twitter, because you don't shy away from it? How much do you enjoy that side of the analyst role?
I enjoy it. It's fun just interacting with people, but there is an ego side of it too, where you want to prove people wrong, or you think that you know a little bit more than other people. So I like to come at it with hard facts. I don't just I'm not just talking randomly out of my butt. I like to come at it from an intelligence perspective. I'm not just there to argue, but I like people to know the reality of things. And, when it comes to CFL football and just football in general, I like to think I know a little bit more than general population. I'm not Mr. Perfect. I don't know everything, but, played 9 years of pro ball. I do have a little bit of insight into the intricacies of the game, the locker room, how guys operate and how they think. So I like to come at it from a more intelligent perspective. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy that you are, and I appreciate you for that. You're the exact kind of guy the CFL needs. Just a couple of quick last questions. Just on the East, you're very well thought of Ticats alumni by that organization. They seem to be getting it rolling. They got Montreal coming in there tomorrow. Who do you see standing atop the Eastern Division, representing that division in the Grey Cup in Hamilton in December?
Don't sleep on the Argos. And, I'm a Chris Jones fan. That's a big addition for their defense. And they've been playing some pretty good football. Hamilton's going to be there as well. But I think coming out of the East, the Argos are probably going to be one of the favorites, because they're starting to play some much better football. Pretty well-rounded team. Lots of good athletes on that football team and lots of good talent. And, like I said, that Chris Jones X factor, he always has a good defense. And you're going to see the Argos really take that identity on the defensive side of the ball and start playing some Chris Jones football. So I think the Argos are going to do some damage. Ticats, they got to get their quarterback situation figured out. Montreal, we'll see. They haven't shown me enough. I thought going into the season they were going to be better than they are. So yeah, they need to prove it to me. But right now, I'd be looking at the Argos to come out of the East.
And Eddie, you are reading my mind. That's my last comment about Chris Jones. We're both Chris Jones fans. And we'll see how it ends up with Toronto. He's a winner. I don't know if that'll be enough to put them over the top, but it doesn't hurt, right? And if you're Edmonton, just saying, you could sweep everybody out and bring in Jones as coach and general manager next year just like that. Any chance you could see that happening there in the City of Champions?
You know, I could see that happening, but I think that's a long shot. You know, I don't think that they're going to sweep out everybody and start fresh. You know, I've never really thought of that, and you got my mind going now. Like, you never know in this league. Like, you really never know what could happen in the off season. It wouldn't be a bad thing for the organization. We both feel the same way about him, and he's a winner. But that would take a lot of change, and we've seen a lot of change in the years. But I just don't know if the Elks have it in them to make a move like that. It's a gutsy move organizationally. I think he would be well received coming back here. I've already seen on social media people are calling for him to come back here, even though he left kind of. It wasn't the best departure after we won the Grey Cup. He kind of just jetted off and took his whole coaching staff. But, man, stranger things have happened, and it would be a pretty cool addition if he did come back out here, and he'd probably be calling me up, offering me a job, but I'd have to say no.
Eddie, they took the coaching staff and you and Willie Jefferson and 7 of the other best Edmonton players. Listen, but yeah, we're never surprised what happens in the CFL, but I was told Marcel Desjardins would be fired by now in Ottawa, and that hasn't happened. So anyways, that's what makes it fun. Always good seeing you, my man. Keep in touch and keep doing what you're doing. Keep being you. I love it.
I appreciate it, Rod, and don't get sunburned down there, man.
Not a chance. See you, Eddie. Eddie Steele, Edmonton Elks analyst and Grey Cup champion, joining us today from the City of Champions. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.